Hi, everyone. Good morning. Let's do this. Ken Paxton won the Republican primary, the Republican runoff in Texas yesterday. That's good. That's good. Now, you wouldn't normally think that you would be hearing me say that that's good. I mean, he's crazy, right? He's a MAGA extremist. He's the village idiot Donald Trump's favorite guy in Texas. He's an alleged criminal, probably really an actual criminal. So how could it be good? Why would it be good? What reason could it possibly be good that Ken Paxton, of all people, won the Republican runoff between him and John Cornyn in Texas? How could this be good? Well, he's going to lose. Ken Paxton is going to easily lose to James Talarico, the Democratic nominee to be the next senator in Texas. Now, guys, I know those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that my predictions tend to be inaccurate. They tend to be wrong. I'm not a particularly efficient predictor. After all, I just got to do an adjustment here. After all, I did predict, demanded, insisted, I was certain. And although I wasn't here in this space on YouTube and Substack, I was on TikTok all the time, and I was insistent, my friends, that Kamala Harris was going to win the 2024 presidential election, and she didn't. So you have to take my advice with a grain of salt, okay? My predictions are usually off. But in this one instance, so far, they've been right. I did say, I think I said here, on Substack and YouTube in an episode and or a live or multiple of them. I think I said that Cornyn has no chance. I know I said it on Instagram in a vertical post, which means I also said it on Facebook because all my Instagrams go to Facebook, which means I also said it on YouTube Shorts because all of those go to YouTube Shorts, which means I also said it on TikTok, because those same videos go to TikTok. So I know I said it there. And I said, I'm so proud of myself in the rare 1 out of 100 that I get right. And I have to talk about it because it's just doesn't happen that often anymore. But I got it right? Go Mitch. But it wasn't really a hard call. It wasn't even really a difficult call. I mean, considering the fact you just base it on election outcomes, right? And considering the fact that look at what happened to Senator Cassidy from Louisiana. The village idiot said, we got to get rid of him. He doesn't vote with me enough times. I don't like him very much. Get rid of him. I'm going to endorse the other guy. I like the other guy. Cassidy got his ass handed to him. And this just happens over and over again. The village idiot is politically done. Donald Trump is politically done, except in the MAGA community. And the MAGA community is Republican primaries. So Donald Trump, as useless politically as he is useful. He is effective politically in the right wing, in whatever is left of the right wing extremist Republican primary ecosystem. If the idiot endorses a Republican, then that Republican is going to win. But it is, at least in terms of the primary, and they'll become the nominee. But then come the general election, those Republicans are going to lose all over the place. Maybe there's a few in deep red states in the House that still have a chance, and maybe you'll see some Senate holdouts. Maybe. In red states, maybe, but those are not gerrymandered districts. So I would think we're going to have a few surprises in the Senate in red states, that one of them being Texas, which is kind of a purple state anyway. But I think James Talarico wins this easily. So without further ado, for those that are joining live, I want to bring up the live stream so I can see, or the live chat, so I can see who's there. And also, if you are on YouTube, if you are on Substack, either of those places, please like and subscribe. If you are on Substack and you really, really like this, please consider a paid subscription if that's comfortable for you and that's something that would be meaningful to you, because that's what helps me do this work. And I also, you know, would love that. But irrespective, let me bring up the, I need to get a new mouse, guys. This thing has seen better days. Let's bring up the chat, and so we can see who is with us. Let me just turn off the sound there, and let's just pop this over here. Okay, so we have the live chat up. So, okay, so let's get a little bit more into this right now. So, Ken Paxton is very proud of himself. Ken Paxton is very happy. He won by like 30 points yesterday. Hey, Winifred, how are you? He absolutely clobbered John Cornyn. Now, if you're new to this, Texas, at least I'm by no means an expert in Texas politics. I have a friend who I'm going to be speaking to in about an hour and a half, who is an expert on Texas politics, and it's going to be really interesting to get her take on all this. But I've learned enough about Texas politics to know that John Cornyn, the incumbent, has been there for decades. He's been there for years and years and years. He was a classic, traditional Republican. He was an old school, moderate Republican. It was conservative, but as the party, started to move further and further and further to the right, he wasn't like your Tea Party Republican, right? He was sort of like a moderate, super conservative, right? Or it was like a super conservative, but not an extremist for the longest time, which was a moderate in this Republican Party, right? And he didn't always satisfy the more extreme wing of the Republican Party. Donald Trump, the village idiot, didn't always love him. As a matter of fact, you might even argue at the beginning of this primary race that he's lost now, Donald Trump probably didn't care for him much at all. And the village idiot almost certainly would have come out in the beginning and endorsed Paxton, but it seemed like Cornyn tried to make an effort to become as crazy as he possibly could. He didn't have it in him, so he couldn't pull it off. There's a little bit of a conscience left in there. There's a little bit of decency. There's some common sense. He wasn't able to, in order to be a MAGA extremist, a true blue believer, right? You really have to be a true blue believer, right? You either have to just be a little nuts or a lot nuts and believe in absurd conspiracy theories. And you have to believe in Donald Trump almost as if he is Jesus Christ, right? You've got to be there. You've got to either legitimately be there in your beliefs and your thought processes, right? Or you got to fake it. You got to do like what Marco Rubio did, right? You've got to just sell out your spirit, your soul, your common sense, your decency, your dignity, your integrity, your intellect. You've got to sell them all. You've got to you got to take all those things. You have to regurgitate them up, right? And you have to, puke them into a bowl, right? A filthy bowl. And then you've got to hand that bowl over to the village idiot Donald Trump and let him just, I don't know where to go with this metaphorical thing that I'm doing right now, but that's the only way to do it, right? That's the only way to be successful as a MAGA politician at the federal level if you're not a true MAGA, right? You kind of have to do that. You kind of have to surrender everything else up like that. And Paxton tried. To the extent that I watched him guys, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to keep an eye on this because at 11:24, which is right now, there's supposed to be the idiot's supposed to be holding a cabinet meeting, which I think will be really funny today. And I want to cover it live. I want to kind of, if I can, because it's showing that it's only going to be available on C-SPAN radio. I don't know what the fuck that means. So I've never done this before. So although I'm talking about Paxton right now, I want to cover this. Hey, Sam. Hey, Pingu. How are you guys? I want to cover this cabinet meeting if I can. So let's just check in, and I'll get back to Paxton in a second. But I don't, because cabinet meetings are always entertaining. I find they're nauseating, but they're entertaining. Oh, C-SPAN always has commercials. You have to kind of wait for them to kind of go through.
So much. His department says doesn't get any monetary relief. He gets an apology.
So C-SPAN is not. We'll bounce back to it in a couple moments and see if it's live again too. Also, letting everybody know, I may have to bail on this episode. I try to keep these episodes a half an hour or less, although I haven't been terribly successful at that lately. But I may have to leave at any given moment if this phone rings, because the dog is at the beauty salon today. She's getting her hair done. God knows she needs it because she stinks. And they give the dogs these lovely little baths, and they get much cleaner than they were beforehand. So I don't know when she's going to be finished. She's been there for like an hour and a half already. So as soon as let me just make sure they haven't called yet and make sure my ringer is on. So when they do call, I'm going to have to bail on this session and go pick up the pooch. But I do not see that yet. So just wanted to put that out there. So again, John Cornyn is in this game for years and years and years, right? He tries to be like Donald Trump. He tries so hard to be MAGA. He tries to be an asshole in the Senate. He tries to be an extremist, and he sort of pulled it off, but it was so fake that, the Texas MAGA community clearly saw right through it. And they humiliated him. He would have been better off he would have been better off retiring, right? He got humiliated. So you might ask me, you might be thinking now, Mitch, at the beginning of this episode, you said this is really good for Democrats. And this is a good thing. Mitch, how can this be a good thing? How can it be a good thing that a MAGA extremist who is an indicted criminal, who is, the attorney general of the state of the authoritarian, Republican, basically crooked state of Texas right now, how can just the fact that he's an indicted criminal who basically settled his own case, right, because he was attorney general, right, and then almost was impeached by a supermajority Republican Senate for other criminal shit that he did. And he's supposedly a good Christian who his wife threw him the fuck out last year for a non-biblical behavior, which I can only assume is he's screwing around with somebody who's not her, right? So how can having a dirtbag like that, as the winner, wouldn't it have been better if, even though he's an ass kisser, if John Cornyn would have won? Because at least if, the runoff and the primary, because at least if John Cornyn would have won the primary and Talarico loses, if the Democrat loses, at least, democracy may still have a fighting chance with at least a moderate Republican. Well, my answer to that question of, Mitch, how can that be, is number one, democracy had no fighting chance with John Cornyn in there anyway. He's a chicken shit coward GOP senator, like most of the rest of them. He was useless standing up to Donald Trump, useless. And the best that he could bring himself to do was, when his job was in jeopardy, he just tried to become more Trumpian. So having him in there, as there's no difference, I think, having having Cornyn as a senator from Texas, or having Paxton, if God forbid either one of those freaks, were to be the next senator of Texas, it wouldn't matter. Just you'd have one loudmouth MAGA sociopath and one ass-kissing, wannabe terrified, wannabe MAGA, weirdo, right? Well, so what's the difference? It's the same shit. 6 and 1, a half dozen to the other kind of stuff, right? But why it's good, I think, is twofold. One is it gives Texans a clear choice, right? Texans, although Ted Cruz somehow found gas for $3.99 a gallon. He's the other senator in Texas right now, and took a picture of that and posted it on the right wing shithole that is X. I don't know if that was a picture from like a year ago, right? I don't know where the fuck, but I just lost my train of thought thinking about Ted Cruz's gas. But I don't know why I brought that up. It'll pop back to me. I had many of my usual typical brain farts. But irrespective, Paxton is not going to win, right? Paxton is not going to win. So just from the electoral point of view, even though Paxton won the runoff, he's not going to win the general election in Texas. James Talarico is popular. People like him. He's a moderate. Texans may or may not like that. But he's also a Christian, right? And normally we hear the word Christian and we get nervous, right? Because when you combine the word, in the United States of America, when you combine the word Christian in politics, it means evangelical worship of an imbecile like Donald Trump. It means evangelical identity politics, going back years and years and years, that really when racist, it means racist politics. It means authoritarian politics. It means white nationalism. It means Christian nationalism, right? It means all of these bad things. The word's gotten a bad rap thanks to Donald Trump and politicized white evangelicals in the United States. But James Talarico is reminding Texans on the campaign trail that no, Christianity in and of itself is not that. And if you truly believe in Christianity, you can vote for him because he believes in all that stuff too. Just not the crazy, racist, sort of fake Christianity that politicized evangelicals swear by now. Just not Trumpian Christianity, which is laughable. And I think that sincere sense of faith coming from Talarico will resonate with a lot of Texans on both sides of the aisle, and certainly independents, that are fed up with Trump. But yet there's also a lot of that don't like paying $4.65 for a gallon of gas, that don't want there to be a war in Iran, that are upset because the Epstein files have been covered up, and a plethora of other things, right? So I think Talarico not just has a real chance of beating Paxton, but I think he clobbers him. I think it's an easy win. I think Paxton is going to have to come out being crazier and more MAGA than he was before. The way that the village idiot, Donald Trump, has already structured the race for Paxton, and Republicans in Texas have already struggled the race for Paxton. Paxton has to go at Talarico because Talarico's a vegan, right? And he's a weirdo. That is going to be the focus of the Paxton campaign. That don't vote for this vegan. Don't vote for this fucking weirdo, right? That is coming from, the guy that every Texan knows is a criminal, is a corrupt criminal who protected himself from his own indictment while he was the attorney general. Is that going to be more appealing to anyone other than the MAGA cult members than a vegan who also happens to be a Christian, who also happens to have populist perspectives about feeding the poor, about cost of living, about has moderate positions on immigration, but referring to immigrant, they may not like. I realize some Republicans may not like the idea that Talarico considers immigrants to be human beings, brown immigrants, that is, but I think they'll get past that. I think you're going to have a lot of Republicans, MAGA Republicans in Texas who are going to hold their nose because they're going to have to, because they can't stand the stench of, someone who doesn't see brown immigrants as non-humans, but they're going to hold their nose because that's too distasteful for them. And they're going to go and they're going to vote for Talarico because they're not going to be able to vote for this asshole. Rural farmers in Texas, cattle ranchers, who can't sell their beef. Their beef is so incredibly expensive right now. And what did the Trump administration do for them? Opened up because Trump is in so much trouble because of the prices of beef. He opened up export controls, removed them on Argentinian beef. After we bailed Argentina, after we gave $40 billion to bail the Argentinians out of their economic crisis, because the village idiot Donald Trump likes the leader of Argentina, because he thinks that guy is his friend, right? So these cattle ranchers remember that. They know that. They're living that. Hey, Gamer. Hey, Gail. They're living through that, right? So they are not. What about the cattle rancher who was friends with a soybean farmer who lost his farm that the family has had for 140 years because of the village idiot's tariffs on China? They're all going to remember that. And are they going to choose the criminal adulterer? Right? The non-biblical man who did non-biblical things, as his wife said, Ken Paxton, over James Talarico? I don't think so. So I think from an electoral perspective, this is the best outcome that Democrats could have had in this Republican runoff primary election. Because the only thing they had to lose was the possibility of losing to a moderate, because after the election, after the runoff, I'm sure Cornyn would have gone back to campaigning as a moderate that he actually is, which is still an ultra-conservative Republican, and I think he would have had a chance to beat Talarico. I don't think Paxton has a chance. Now, let's take one other thing before we wrap this live up today, my friends. This episode, I should say, because we're not just live. One other thing is, I imagine Cornyn is humiliated, right? Because Cornyn has been a senator in Texas for decades, a Republican senator, so he's got a big ego, because all things are big in Texas, right? So he's got a big ego, and he was tried so desperately to become MAGA. He tried so desperately to achieve the village idiot Donald Trump's endorsement, and he gets rejected at the 11th hour, right? Trump chooses Paxton at the last minute, right? So Trump rejected him, right? So the God, the King, Donald John James, Jesus Christ Trump, our Lord and Savior, rejects him. That had to suck for him, right? He's probably mad about that. And then the people of Texas reject him. Let's just, how much did he lose by? Let's see the numbers. Paxton wins by how many points? Cornyn, but 28 points. Fucking clobbered him by 28 points. Texas didn't just reject John Cornyn, they slapped him on the way out. Texas Republicans fucking hate John Cornyn. Well, if Cornyn is like every other conservative that I've come across, self-victimized conservative who doesn't blame anybody for their own problems, but blames their problems on everybody else, usually it's black and brown people. But in this case, he can't blame that on the black and brown people. This is the fault. He's going to be mad, I assume. I assume he's going to be mad at the village idiot Donald Trump, and he's going to be mad at Texas Republicans. And he's still got months and months and months in the Senate. I mean, months, not months and months and months, to exact his vengeance. And guess what's coming up? The Senate kicked the can down about, a week ago, down the line for their stupid fucking reconciliation bill. This is the bill. This is a majority. It's a filibuster-proof effort because when the Senate uses reconciliation, and Democrats have used reconciliation in the past to get important legislation moved through. So I don't fault Republicans for using it, but the shit they're using reconciliation for is to try to get billions, like 100 some odd billion for ICE and CBP. An organization, Donald Trump's personal fucking army of incompetent slobs. It's still a lot of them, right? We don't need to pad that fucking army. They have tens of billions of dollars already. This reconciliation bill will get those assholes tens of billions more, right? Also, what was in this reconciliation bill, or what's not going to be in it because there's no support in the Senate. And now with Cornyn being dissed by the idiots and by Republicans, the Village Idiot Slush Fund, his $1.776 billion slush fund, to pay criminals. Any criminals he wants to pay, maybe insurrectionists, right? Well, that hit a snag anyway in the Senate. That's why the Senate had to kick the can down on the reconciliation bill. I can't imagine. There's a snowball's chance in hell that Cornyn supports that bill now. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Cornyn, now, because he's angry and potentially vengeful, maybe he rediscovers his decency, his common sense, right? Maybe he finds his courage. Maybe he's no longer a chicken shit GOP coward. Maybe he, meets up with Tom Tillis, soon to be former senator from North Carolina, who's retiring. And he finally got some balls because he's retiring and sort of sticks up to Donald Trump. Senator Cassidy from Louisiana, who got his ass kicked out by a MAGA weirdo in the most recent primary and has sort of tepidly, but at least willingly, came out against some of these Trumpian nonsensical priorities. Maybe him and Cornyn and Cassidy, maybe they get together and they create a powerful Senate bloc. Maybe they exert their fucking power on their way out the door, right? And maybe they can drag Collins in if they could just convince fucking very concerned Senator Collins from Maine. If they could just convince her that she's going to lose her race, she's going to get her ass kicked. What's the name? Palmer or Plantier? I can't remember the Democratic senator that's running against her with all his fucking baggage. He's still a fisherman. He's a everyday person's person, even with his baggage. He's going to whoop her ass in the election, right? So, convince her that it's over. You're done. You're going to lose. Go out with style. Susan, Sue, Senator Sue, hook up with these, with these other fellow octogenarians. Not that I have anything against old people. I'm heading there myself, right? But head up and flex your fucking muscles on the way out. You could stop the Republican bullshit in its tracks. Caucus with the Democrats on what isn't crazy. As a matter of fact, Murkowski, do you want to save your dignity? Do you want to really stand up for fucking Alaska? You're not done yet. They can't get you. You're not going to get. It's highly unlikely. I don't know when Murkowski is up again for re-election, but if Trump is still in office, I don't know if he still is or not. He's going to fucking primary her and is going to lose. So be a force. Be a powerful force for good. Save your legacies. If you're here watching this episode, you guys, do what I'm saying. This is the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to vindicate yourself, to find some decency and some spirit, and to have real fucking power. Block this whole goddamn bill. The whole thing. Stop the ICE Gestapo in its tracks. Reconciliation this bill is bullshit anyway. Block the whole fucking thing. You have the power to do it. Or caucus with the Democrats on this and get some common sense into that bill and get ICE under control. Get Trump under control. These 4 members of Congress, of the Senate, these 4 Republican senators right now, is it 4 or 5? Doesn't matter. They could completely take control of the U.S. Senate right now. And I hope they do it. I truly, truly hope they do it. But irrespective, the summary of my long-winded babble about this, it's good for Democrats. This whole situation is good for Democrats. Paxton is just going to go out there and make an ass out of himself on the campaign trail. He's going to hammer Talarico about being a vegan. They're going to make up some shit. I hope they just really, I would love to see it. I hope Talarico, we just found, the Village Idiot will post something on Troop Social. I just found out that you're not going to believe this, but James Talarico, I call him James Talarico, RICO case. He was caught in a RICO case. It was a male prostitution. He's a male prostitute. He's gay. And it's a RICO case. There was a RICO case buried in Texas. They never went after him. They should have. We have all the proof right now. It's unbelievable. It was a gay male prostitute. They're gay male prostitute vegans. Talarico is one of them. He was in charge. Cannot believe it. I hope they go. And then Paxton. Can you see Paxton? This buffoon, I just would love, I want to see. Donald, if any of you guys out there have, access to Donald, right? Tell him to call me. I'll be nice to him. Donald, you're fantastic. You are beautiful. You are a macho Adonis man of strength, and you're the greatest president we've ever had. You won the 2020 election. Now, here's what I need you to do. I found out, Donald. I know it's true. It happened, and I talked to a lot of really important big people that told me this. James Talarico ran that's why they call him Talarico. He had a RICO charge against him. It was brought up. It was federal. It was unbelievable. It was the worst thing you ever saw. It was a male prostitution ring. It was a bunch of gay male vegans. Talarico was running it. He was involved in it too. And I need you to get this over to Paxton. Get this over to whoever Paxton's opposition, guy is. Get it over to him. And I need you to start pushing this out. We got to get Paxton on the campaign trail talking about it. Guys, if this happens, okay? If this actually happens, it's not going to. If this happens, we're going to just have a really good time. Or if something like this happens, we're just bookmark this moment. Wednesday, May 27th, 11:47 a.m. If this happens, some version of this, we're going to know it started here. Let no MAGA extremist on fucking X, a.k.a. Twitter, take credit for it. The rumor started here. Spread the word, everyone. Let's see if we can make this happen. We can do this. All right, let's check real fast before if you're just joining us, the idiot is having a cabinet meeting today about Iran, which I think will be really funny. It was supposed to happen at Camp David, but the idiot changed it to the White House for whatever reason. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. It's on radio, I think. Well, maybe not. It was saying, C-SPAN was saying radio, but I don't know. Let me pull it up. Let's see what happens.
For years, Ben wore this hat to hide his thinning hair.
All right.
Justice Department says doesn't get any monetary relief. He gets an apology, but in return,
that sucks. I really like to cover these cabinet meetings. Maybe it'll be delayed. Let's see. What is it saying? What time it is? 11:52. It's 11:48. All right, guys. Here's the plan. Everybody, prepare yourselves for the plan. I'm going to wrap up this episode right now. Reminder, please like and subscribe, whether you're on YouTube or Substack. if you're on Substack and if you're comfortable doing this, if it's something that can fit into your budget, and if this is meaningful enough, and only if those two things are true, please consider a paid subscription. It's what allows me to continue to do this work. But I'm going to wrap this episode up now. I have to monitor my phone because I'm waiting for the dog, hairstylist to call because Pixie is getting her hair done. And I got to pick her. They call 15 minutes before she's done, and I got to go get her. And she's been there since 10 o'clock. So I may have to run out and go get Pixie. And I also have our course daily briefing at 12:30. But if I can figure out a way to squeeze it in, I'm going to be back. And we're going to cover that press conference or that ridiculous cabinet meeting live, or at least a part of it. I hope I can pull it off because they're always fun. All right, I love you guys. I'm so sorry for those that are here live. I apologize that I didn't have a chance to look at the comments. But I rushed. I went a little bit over right now. But I will always do my best to get to the comments because you guys have far more significant and important things to say than I do. 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, one live or episode at a time. That's how we get through this madness. We chunk through it. Day in and day out. There's a lot of days behind us that we've chunked through, and it's gotten us to this point. It's baby steps. It's a marathon. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Be well, everybody.